Queen Elena Martinez stood at the observation deck's reinforced glass, watching the Zephyrian delegation's shuttle descend through Earth's atmosphere. The sleek vessel cut through morning clouds like liquid mercury, its alien design both beautiful and unsettling. Behind her, Captain Marcus Webb maintained perfect stillness, his hand resting on his sidearm's grip. "The Princess Kira arrives 30 minutes early," Elena murmured, not turning from the window. "That concerns me." Webb's reflection appeared beside hers in the glass. Intelligence suggests Zephyrian royalty uses timing as a diplomatic weapon. Early arrival implies confidence or desperation. Elena's fingers tapped against the window frame. "Their planet's resources are depleting faster than our scientists predicted. This trade agreement isn't just politics anymore." The shuttle touched down with impossible grace on the palace landing pad. Steam hissed from cooling engines as the craft's hull shifted from silver to deep blue, adapting to Earth's atmospheric pressure. Elena watched as security teams formed precise perimeters around the vessel. "Your Majesty," Webb's voice carried the slightest edge. "Protocol requires your presence in the throne room before the delegation enters the palace." Elena finally turned, her ceremonial crown catching afternoon light streaming through crystal panels. "Tell me, Captain, what do you see when you look at me right now?" The question caught Webb off guard. His military training had prepared him for threats, not philosophical inquiries from his sovereign. "I see the Queen of the Northern Territories, Your Majesty." Wrong. Elena stepped closer, her heels clicking against polished marble. "You see a woman about to make a decision that will determine whether 2 billion people live or die. The Zephyrians possess technology that could solve our energy crisis. Without it, the Antarctic colonies will freeze within 6 months. Webb's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The security briefing indicated potential risks. Everything about this negotiation is a risk. Elena walked past him toward the corridor leading to the throne room. Princess Kira is reportedly brilliant, unpredictable, and completely loyal to her dying world. She will test every boundary, every protocol, every assumption we hold about diplomatic immunity. Their footsteps echoed through halls lined with portraits of Elena's predecessors. Each painted face seemed to judge the current crisis, reminding her that queens before her had faced impossible choices between duty and survival. "Webb," Elena stopped abruptly. "In your assessment, what represents the greatest threat to this negotiation?" "Unknown variables, Your Majesty. The princess's true intentions remain classified, even within Zephyrian intelligence networks." "Exactly." Elena resumed walking, but slower now. "We're about to welcome someone whose species thinks in dimensions we barely comprehend. Their concept of privacy, personal space, even basic courtesy might be completely alien to our understanding." They reached the throne room's massive doors. Palace guards stood at attention, their ceremonial weapons polished to mirror brightness. Elena paused, studying their faces for any sign of nervousness about hosting Earth's first alien diplomatic visit. "Your orders, Your Majesty?" Webb asked quietly. "Standard security protocols with one exception." Elena turned to face him directly. "If Princess Kira deviates from the planned route through the palace, do not intervene immediately. I want to understand her motivations before we react." Webb's expression remained neutral, but Elena caught the slight tension in his shoulders. "Your Majesty, allowing unsupervised movement through sensitive areas could compromise state security." "Captain, our entire civilization could collapse if this negotiation fails. Sometimes protecting the crown means risking the crown." Elena placed her hand on the door's ornate handle. "Trust my judgment." The throne room doors opened with mechanical precision, revealing the grand chamber where Elena would soon face the most important diplomatic encounter in human history. Sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across the floor where Princess Kira would soon stand. Elena took her position on the throne, the weight of crown and responsibility settling onto her shoulders like armor. Webb positioned himself at regulation distance, his training warring with the unconventional orders he'd just received. Outside, alien footsteps approached through corridors designed for human guests. Princess Kira was coming, carrying the hopes of her dying world and the future of Elena's people in hands that had never touched Earth's soil. Queen straightened her spine, preparing to welcome either salvation or catastrophe through her palace doors. The approaching footsteps stopped just outside the throne room. Elena held her breath, knowing that the next few minutes would echo through history books that might never be written if this encounter went wrong. She nodded almost imperceptibly to Webb, who acknowledged the gesture with the barest movement of his head. Princess Kira's delegation had arrived. The massive doors began to open again, and Elena forced her expression into a mask of regal composure while her mind raced through every possible scenario Webb's security team had prepared her for. None of them felt adequate for what was actually about to walk through those doors. Princess Kira entered the throne room with movements that seemed to defy Earth's gravity, her form shifting between solid matter and something resembling liquid starlight. Elena had seen holographic recordings, but witnessing Zephyrian biology in person was breathtaking and deeply unsettling. The alien princess stood approximately Elena's height, but her proportions suggested evolutionary development under different atmospheric pressure. Her skin held an opalescent quality that reflected the throne room's colored light in patterns that seemed almost intentional, as if her body was communicating through chromatic displays. "Your Majesty, Queen Elena Martinez," Princess Kira spoke with perfect English pronunciation, though her voice carried harmonic undertones that resonated strangely in human ears. "I greet you in the name of the Zephyrian High Council and express gratitude for your world's hospitality during these desperate times." Elena rose from the throne, matching formality with measured warmth. "Princess Kira, Earth welcomes you. We understand the urgency of your situation and hope our negotiations will benefit both our peoples." The princess's head tilted at an angle that would have been uncomfortable for human anatomy. "Your words carry genuine concern. This surprises me. As Zephyrian intelligence suggested, human leaders prioritize self-interest above collective survival." Webb's hand moved closer to his weapon, though he maintained outward calm. Elena noticed the subtle shift and made an almost invisible gesture for him to hold position. "Perhaps your intelligence sources underestimated human capacity for empathy," Elena replied carefully. "We've learned that cooperation often serves self-interest better than isolation." Princess Kira moved closer to the throne, her steps making no sound on the marble floor. "Cooperation requires trust. Trust requires understanding. Understanding requires truth." Her opalescent skin shifted from blue to deep purple. "Are you prepared for complete honesty about what Zephyrian survival technology would cost your species?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Elena felt the weight of Webb's attention, knowing he was calculating threat levels and response protocols. She also felt the weight of history, understanding that her next words would determine whether two civilizations found salvation or mutual destruction. "I'm prepared for whatever truth you're willing to share," Elena answered, stepping down from the throne platform to meet the princess at eye level. "Excellent!" Princess Kira's skin shifted to silver, matching her shuttle's hull color. "Then you will understand why I must explore your palace's true nature before entering formal negotiations. Your people's governmental structure remains opaque to Zephyrian analysis." Elena's pulse quickened. "What do you mean by explore?" "I must witness how your authority functions in unguarded moments. Observe your people's authentic reactions when royal protocols are challenged. Understand whether your promises have substance beyond ceremonial words." The princess moved toward the throne room's side exit. "This requires examining spaces you have not prepared for Zephyrian observation." Webb stepped forward, his voice carefully controlled. "Princess, we have scheduled tours of approved palace areas." Princess Kira turned her attention to Webb, and Elena watched the captain's expression shift as he experienced direct contact with alien consciousness. The princess's eyes held depths that suggested intelligence operating on multiple levels simultaneously. "Captain Webb," Princess Kira said, somehow knowing his name without introduction. "Your concern for Queen Elena's safety is admirable. However, Zephyrian diplomatic tradition requires understanding a leader's character through unstructured observation. Scheduled tours reveal only what you wish us to see." Elena felt the situation balancing on a razor's edge. Refusing the princess's request could end negotiations before they began. Agreeing could expose state secrets or create security risks Webb couldn't predict. "What specifically do you wish to observe?" Elena asked. "Your private chambers, the spaces where you make decisions away from public scrutiny. The areas where your true personality emerges without royal performance." Princess Kira's skin reflected the throne room's colors like a living mirror. I must know whether the woman I'm negotiating with is authentic or merely another political construction. Webb's tension became palpable. Elena knew palace security protocols forbade unauthorized access to royal private quarters, especially for foreign dignitaries whose intentions remained unclear. Your Majesty, Webb said quietly, this request violates established security parameters. Elena studied Princess Kira's shifting features, searching for signs of deception or manipulation. Instead, she found something that looked almost like desperation beneath the alien composure. How long would this observation require? Elena asked. As long as necessary to understand your true character. Princess Kira moved toward the side exit with fluid grace. Time functions differently for Zephyrians. What you call minutes might provide the insight we need to determine whether trust between our species is possible. Elena weighed the impossible choice. Refusing might lose Earth's only chance for survival. Agreeing might expose vulnerabilities that could destroy human civilization in different ways. Captain Webb, Elena said finally, escort Princess Kira to my private quarters. Maintain standard protective protocols, but allow her the access she's requesting. Webb's face remained professionally neutral, but Elena saw the conflict in his eyes. Your Majesty, I must respectfully advise against this course of action. Advice noted, Captain. Orders stand. Elena turned back to Princess Kira. Princess, you may observe what you need to see. I trust you'll respect the privacy of information not directly relevant to our negotiations. Princess Kira's skin shifted to warm gold. Your trust will be honored within the boundaries of Zephyrian diplomatic necessity. Webb accepted the decision with military discipline, though Elena sensed his mental protests. This way, Princess. As they left the throne room, Elena remained behind, understanding that she had just made a decision that would either save two worlds or doom them both. The alien princess was moving deeper into the palace, beyond prepared spaces and practice presentations, toward the truth of who Elena really was when crowns came off and royal masks fell away. The throne room fell silent except for Elena's heartbeat echoing in her ears like countdown timer marking moments until everything changed forever. Princess Kira followed Webb through corridors that grew progressively less formal as they moved away from public palace areas. The captain's military bearing remained perfect, but his discomfort was evident in the slightly increased pace of his stride and the way his eyes constantly scanned for potential threats or escape routes. Captain Webb, Princess Kira said as they climbed a marble staircase leading to the royal residential wing. Your devotion to Queen Elena extends beyond professional obligation. Webb didn't respond, focusing instead on the security checkpoint ahead where two guards stood at attention beside electronically sealed doors. The princess's observation skills were proving as sharp as intelligence reports had warned. Palace access to royal quarters requires additional authorization, Webb explained, approaching the guards. Lieutenant Morrison, Princess Kira has Queen Elena's permission to observe private areas. Standard protective protocols remain in effect. Lieutenant Morrison's surprise was barely concealed. Sir, that's highly irregular. Noted, Lieutenant. Execute the order. The electronic locks disengaged with soft chimes, and the guards stepped aside while maintaining suspicious attention on their alien visitor. Princess Kira moved between them with fluid grace, her skin shifting from gold to deep blue as she registered their tension. The royal quarters beyond the security doors revealed a different world from the palace's public grandeur. Personal photographs lined hallway walls, showing Elena at various ages, with family members and close advisors. Comfortable furniture replaced ceremonial pieces, and the scent of Elena's preferred tea lingered in the air. Princess Kira stopped before a photograph showing Elena as a young woman, laughing with an older man beside a lake. Her father? King Marcus died 8 years ago, Webb replied tersely. Heart failure during the Antarctic colonization crisis. She was unprepared for the throne. Princess Kira moved closer to the image, studying Elena's younger face. Fear and determination in equal measure. This explains her willingness to risk unconventional diplomatic approaches. Webb felt uncomfortable discussing his queen's personal history with someone whose species might use emotional vulnerabilities as weapons. Princess, perhaps we should focus on areas relevant to your diplomatic assessment. Human psychology is always relevant to diplomacy, Captain. Princess Kira continued down the hallway, pausing at each photograph and personal artifact. Your queen lost her father during humanity's first major off-world expansion. This experience shaped her understanding that isolation leads to death. They reached Elena's private study, a room filled with books, star charts, and technical reports about colonial operations. Princess Kira moved immediately to Elena's desk, where classified documents about the Antarctic colony's failing power systems lay open beside half-empty coffee cups. She works past exhaustion, Princess Kira observed, touching the rim of one cup with a finger that glowed faintly blue. Recent sleep patterns suggest 4 hours maximum per night for the past 2 months. Webb stepped closer, ready to intervene if the princess attempted to access classified information. Queen Elena takes her responsibilities seriously. Seriously enough to risk personal health for collective survival. Princess Kira moved to Elena's private bookshelf, scanning titles that ranged from political theory to quantum physics. She studies beyond her formal education, seeking understanding of problems her advisors cannot solve. The princess selected a book about interstellar resource management, opening it to pages filled with Elena's handwritten notes in the margins. Webb watched nervously as alien intelligence processed his queen's private thoughts and analytical methods. Fascinating, Princess Kira murmured, her skin brightening to silver. She understands the mathematical realities of population survival better than most scientists. These calculations predict Antarctic colony failure within 6 months. Exactly what Zephyrian analysis concluded. Princess, that information is classified, Webb warned. Information that saves lives should never be classified, Captain. Princess Kira closed the book gently, treating Elena's personal notes with unexpected respect. Your queen faces the same impossible mathematics my people face. Exponential resource depletion against linear population needs. They moved toward Elena's bedroom, where Webb's discomfort increased dramatically. Military protocol had never prepared him for escorting alien royalty through his sovereign's most private spaces. Permission to observe Queen Elena's sleeping quarters? Princess Kira asked formally. Webb hesitated, knowing he was approaching the limits of acceptable security protocol. Brief observation only. No contact with personal belongings. Elena's bedroom revealed humanity at its most vulnerable. The space was surprisingly simple, with few luxuries beyond a quality mattress and reading materials stacked on bedside tables. Princess Kira moved carefully through the room, her attention focusing on details that painted pictures of Elena's private struggles. Medical supplies for stress management, Princess Kira noted, observing prescription bottles beside the bed. Sleep aids, anxiety medication, vitamin supplements for nutritional deficiency. Webb felt his protective instincts flare. Princess, Queen Elena's medical information is private. Medical information reveals character, Captain. She medicates symptoms but continues working. Prioritizes duty over personal health. Princess Kira moved to Elena's wardrobe, where formal gowns hung beside comfortable clothing. Public performance masks private sacrifice. The princess touched the fabric of Elena's coronation gown, her skin shifting through multiple colors as she processed textures and memories embedded in the material. This dress was worn during her father's funeral. Fear and determination again. She accepted a crown she never wanted. Princess, how can you possibly know that from touching fabric? Zephyrian perception operates differently than human senses, Captain. We read emotional residues left in objects significant to their owners. Princess Kira moved away from the wardrobe. Your queen's honesty extends to her private spaces. No deception exists between her public and private selves. Webb absorbed this information while calculating whether Princess Kira's unusual abilities pose security threats to palace operations. The princess seemed to read emotions from objects like humans read books. One final observation space, Princess Kira announced, moving toward Elena's private bathroom. Personal hygiene reveals cultural values and individual psychology. Webb stepped forward quickly. Princess, I cannot allow access to Queen Elena's bathroom. Privacy boundaries exist even during diplomatic assessment. Princess Kira stopped, studying Webb's face with the same intensity she'd directed at Elena's belongings. Your protection of her dignity supersedes direct orders. This reveals powerful emotional attachment. My loyalty is professional, Webb replied stiffly. Your loyalty is deeper than profession, Captain Webb. You would sacrifice your career to protect Queen Elena's privacy. This information confirms that humans form emotional bonds that transcend hierarchical structures. Princess Kira's skin shifted to warm purple. Critical intelligence for diplomatic purposes. Webb realized he had been subjected to analysis as much as Elena had. Princess Kira was learning about human nature through observation of relationships between queen and protector. Have you observed what you need to see? Webb asked. Almost. Princess Kira moved back toward Elena's study. I must witness one more element of your queen's character, how she responds to unexpected challenges when privacy is threatened. Webb felt alarm bells ringing in his mind. What do you mean? Princess Kira smiled, an expression that looked both human and utterly alien. I mean, Captain, that I have been deliberately choosing the wrong rooms throughout this tour. Queen Elena is about to discover that her private spaces have been accessed in ways that violate every protocol she established. The color drained from Webb's face as he realized he had been manipulated by intelligence far more sophisticated than human diplomatic training had prepared him for. Princess Kira had orchestrated this entire situation to test Queen Elena's character under unexpected pressure. The sound of Elena's voice echoed through the royal quarters, calling for Webb with tone that suggested she was looking for them. Princess Kira had achieved exactly what she'd intended, and Webb understood that the real diplomatic test was just beginning. Elena's footsteps approached rapidly down the corridor outside her private quarters. Webb felt his career dissolving as he realized Princess Kira had manipulated him into violating every security protocol designed to protect royal privacy. The alien princess stood calmly beside Elena's desk, apparently satisfied with whatever test she had just conducted. Captain Webb! Elena's voice carried the sharp edge of controlled anger as she appeared in the study doorway. Would you care to explain why I found palace guards discussing unauthorized access to my personal quarters? Webb straightened to attention, preparing for the end of his military career. Your Majesty, I followed your direct orders to escort Princess Kira through private areas for diplomatic observation. Elena's eyes moved from Webb to Princess Kira, who remained motionless beside the desk where classified documents lay exposed. Princess, our agreement was for limited observation, not detailed examination of state secrets. Your Majesty, Princess Kira said, her skin shifting to neutral silver. I have observed exactly what diplomatic necessity required. No state secrets have been compromised beyond what both our species already know about each other's desperate circumstances. Elena stepped into the room, and Webb noticed how she positioned herself between Princess Kira and the most sensitive documents. Explain what you mean by diplomatic necessity. Zephyrian culture requires understanding a leader's authentic character before entering survival agreements. Your public presentation suggests competence and determination. I needed confirmation that your private reality matches your public promises. Princess Kira gestured toward the open books and medical supplies. This confirmation has been achieved. Elena's expression remained carefully controlled, but Webb recognized the signs of royal fury being held in check. You tested my character by violating my privacy and manipulating my security captain into breaking protocols designed to protect human civilization. Correct. Princess Kira showed no sign of apology. Zephyrian survival depends on accurate assessment of human leadership capability. Deception or incompetence would doom both our peoples. Elena moved closer to her desk, gathering the scattered classified documents while maintaining eye contact with Princess Kira. And what did your assessment conclude? That Queen Elena Martinez is exactly who she appears to be, a leader willing to sacrifice personal comfort for collective survival. Someone who studies problems beyond her expertise and works past physical limitations to protect her people. Princess Kira's skin began shifting through rainbow patterns. Most importantly, someone capable of making difficult decisions despite emotional cost. Webb watched the exchange, realizing that Princess Kira's test had been as much about Elena's reaction to privacy violation as it had been about her private character. The alien princess was studying how Elena handled unexpected challenges to her authority. Your assessment methodology was unethical by human standards, Elena said, securing the classified documents in her desk drawer. Trust requires mutual respect for boundaries. Ethical considerations become secondary when species face extinction, Your Majesty. Princess Kira moved closer to Elena, her rainbow skin patterns intensifying. We needed assurance that human ethics would allow necessary sacrifices for mutual benefit. Elena's composure finally cracked slightly. What sacrifices? The technology required to save your Antarctic colonies cannot be freely shared. It requires permanent integration with Zephyrian biological systems. Princess Kira's voice became grave. Humans who accept this technology will no longer be entirely human. They will become hybrid beings, capable of surviving in environments impossible for either species alone. The room fell silent as the implications settled. Webb understood that Princess Kira's entire diplomatic mission involved asking humanity to accept voluntary transformation in exchange for survival. How many people would need this transformation? Elena asked quietly. Initially, 50,000. Technical specialists capable of maintaining hybrid technology. Eventually, perhaps 10% of Earth's population as the technology spreads through necessity. Princess Kira's skin shifted to deep blue. This is why I needed certainty about your character. Are you capable of asking your people to become something other than human to survive? Elena sat heavily in her desk chair, the weight of the decision visible in her posture. Webb wanted to provide comfort, but recognized this as a moment reserved for queens and the impossible choices that defined their reigns. The alternative is death for both our civilizations, Elena said, more statement than question. Extinction within 2 years for Zephyr. Extinction within 1 year for Antarctic colonies, followed by eventual collapse of Earth's colonization efforts. Princess Kira approached Elena's chair. Hybrid technology offers survival, but at the cost of remaining purely human or purely Zephyrian. Elena looked up at Princess Kira, and Webb saw something shift in his queen's expression. The fear and uncertainty were replaced by the same determination he'd witnessed during the worst colonial crises. Princess Kira, I have a question that will determine whether this negotiation continues. Elena stood, meeting the alien princess at eye level. If positions were reversed, if humanity possessed technology Zephyr needed for survival, would Princess Kira accept transformation to save her people? Princess Kira's entire form brightened, her skin becoming almost luminescent. Your Majesty, I volunteered for this diplomatic mission knowing it required permanent exile from Zephyr. Exposure to your atmosphere and gravity has already begun irreversible changes to my biology. I am no longer purely Zephyrian. Webb felt his understanding of the entire situation shift. Princess Kira hadn't come to Earth as a foreign dignitary. She had come as a refugee, willing to sacrifice her species' identity for hope of mutual survival. You've already made the choice you're asking us to make, Elena realized. Survival requires courage, Your Majesty. Leadership requires accepting transformation when transformation becomes necessary. Princess Kira extended her hand toward Elena. The question is whether human courage matches Zephyrian desperation. Elena looked at the offered hand, knowing that accepting it would begin humanity's journey toward becoming something new. Webb watched his queen prepare to make a decision that would echo through whatever history books survived the next 10 years. The future of two civilizations hung in the air between Elena's hand and Princess Kira's outstretched fingers. Elena stared at Princess Kira's extended hand, understanding that accepting contact would initiate changes no human had ever experienced. The alien princess's skin pulsed with soft light, suggesting biological processes already adapting to the moment of potential connection. Before I make this decision, Elena said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the choice, I need complete transparency about what hybrid transformation involves. No diplomatic language. No gentle euphemisms. Tell me exactly what happens to humans who accept Zephyrian integration. Princess Kira lowered her hand but maintained the luminescent glow that indicated active biological preparation. Immediate effects include enhanced cognitive processing, resistance to extreme temperatures, and ability to derive nutrition from energy sources impossible for pure humans. These changes manifest within hours. Webb stepped closer, his protective instincts demanding involvement despite understanding his limitations. What about long-term effects? Extended lifespan approaching 400 years, reproductive compatibility only with other hybrid beings. Sensory perception expanded beyond human ranges but limited compared to pure Zephyrian capabilities. Princess Kira's honesty was clinical, almost brutal. Hybrid beings belong fully to neither species while possessing advantages of both. Elena moved to the window overlooking the palace gardens, processing information that would reshape human civilization. Below, gardeners tended flowers that would no longer grow in Antarctica without hybrid technology. How many volunteers would be needed for the initial integration? Elena asked without turning from the window. 50,000 individuals with technical expertise in energy systems, atmospheric management, and biological adaptation. They would become the foundation for hybrid settlements capable of maintaining both human and Zephyrian populations. Princess Kira approached the window cautiously. These volunteers would save billions of lives while accepting permanent exile from purely human society. Exile? Webb questioned sharply. Hybrid biology involves energy consumption patterns that could overwhelm Earth's unmodified ecosystems. Hybrid settlements must remain physically separated from pure human populations to prevent accidental environmental damage. Princess Kira's admission revealed another layer of sacrifice involved. Elena finally turned from the window, her decision visible in the set of her shoulders before she spoke. Princess Kira, if I accept this proposal on behalf of humanity, if I ask 50,000 people to sacrifice their species identity for collective survival, what guarantees exist that Zephyrian culture will honor its commitments? The same guarantee that exists for Zephyrian survival, Your Majesty. None beyond mutual need and shared investment in hybrid success. Princess Kira's skin shifted to deep purple, indicating emotional intensity. Both our civilizations must trust hybrid beings to maintain loyalty to their origins, while accepting transformation beyond those origins. Elena walked to her desk, retrieving writing materials with movements that suggested formal decision-making processes. Captain Webb, please record this conversation for immediate transmission to Earth's colonial leadership and allied governments. Webb activated his communication device, understanding that Elena was about to make a binding commitment affecting every human settlement throughout the solar system. Princess Kira, Elena said formally, I am prepared to recommend hybrid integration to Earth's leadership councils and request volunteers for the initial transformation process. However, I have conditions that must be met before implementation begins. State your conditions, Your Majesty. First, hybrid settlement locations must be chosen jointly by human and Zephyrian representatives. No purely Zephyrian decision-making about where hybrid communities establish themselves. Elena's voice carried the authority that had guided humanity through previous colonial crises. Agreed. Second, hybrid beings retain communication rights with pure human communities. No complete severance of cultural connections. Elena continued listing requirements with practiced diplomatic precision. Agreed, within the limitations of biological safety. Third, reversibility research begins immediately. Even if reversal proves impossible, the effort demonstrates good faith commitment to minimizing permanent consequences. Elena's final condition revealed the weight she felt about asking people to accept irreversible transformation. Princess Kira's form became still, her skin patterns freezing mid-shift as she processed the reversibility request. Your Majesty, reversal research would require Zephyrian biological samples that could compromise our species' security. Then we compromise each other equally, Elena replied firmly. Human volunteers risk their humanity. Zephyrian science risks its biological secrets. Mutual vulnerability creates mutual investment in success. Webb watched the negotiation with growing respect for Elena's strategic thinking. She was ensuring that neither species could exploit the other without risking their own survival. The reversibility research condition is acceptable, Princess Kira said after long consideration, though I must warn that reversal may prove biologically impossible. Hybrid transformation involves genetic changes at cellular levels. Understanding attempts at reversal matters more than success, Aelin explained. Volunteers need to know their sacrifice is respected even if it cannot be undone. Princess Kira extended her hand again, this time with skin patterns that indicated formal acceptance of terms. Your Majesty, do you accept hybrid integration on behalf of human civilization under the conditions you have specified? Elena looked at Webb, whose expression showed pride despite his concern for her safety. She looked around her private study, understanding that this room had witnessed the decision that would define humanity's future beyond Earth. Captain Webb, Elena said quietly. When you write the historical record of this moment, note that Queen Elena Martinez made this decision not as a monarch, but as a human being who refused to accept extinction as inevitable. She reached toward Princess Kira's glowing hand. I accept hybrid integration on behalf of humanity, with trust that our species will learn to survive together or face extinction separately. Elena's fingers made contact with Princess Kira's palm. The moment of contact created a burst of light that filled the study. Webb felt energy discharge through the air, raising hair on his arms and creating taste of copper on his tongue. Elena's expression changed immediately, her eyes reflecting depths that hadn't existed moments before. Princess Kira's form stabilized to pure silver, matching Elena's new luminescent skin tone. The integration begins. Your Majesty, you have become the first human Zephyrian hybrid leader in either species' history. Elena looked at her hands, watching silver light pulse beneath skin that no longer appeared entirely human. Her voice carried new harmonic qualities when she spoke. Captain Webb, please transmit my acceptance to all human colonies and request immediate volunteers for the integration program. Elena's transformation was complete, but her authority remained absolute. Humanity's survival begins with courage to become something more than human. Webb saluted his queen, understanding that he was witnessing the birth of a new species that might someday save both their civilizations. Elena had chosen transformation over extinction, and the universe would never be the same.